And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Welcome to Open Connection. I'm your host, Robert Pictou. The sharing of stories intertwined with other stories, intertwined with past injustices. Welcome to Open Connection. I'm your host, Robert Pictou. The sharing of stories intertwined with other stories, intertwined with past injustices, intertwined with other injustices, give light to the complexities of the process of reconciliation with Indigenous families. We begin today's Open Connection with Penticton Elder Hazel Squawcum.
The knots, the warps, and how to change colors.
Oh, okay.
How to hide one color or to put one, either the lighter or the darker warp that you're going to put behind, like behind your foundation, like it makes it a bit complicated, I think, for beginners. Well, my daughter, she teaches the Okanagan language too. She was teaching our Okanagan language in the, I guess they're called the Osuyus in Kamip, but in a provincial school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she was working with Native children, but she was a language teacher, and then, but she went back to Inauken, which is our Native Institute in Penticton.
Oh, okay.
They teach language and arts, and my son-in-law, he does, he wears several hats, I guess I could say, because he works with the environment and with the birds, and then he's a language instructor too. So he teaches at UBCO, the North Campus in Kelowna.
Oh, okay.
I subbed for Mrs. Dennis in the Kermius, but I retired about 3 or 4 years ago, I guess. And then Mrs. Dennis, Robert Dennis, she retired about 3 years ago, maybe now, 2 years ago. But she was working in a provincial school also, elementary, secondary, and kindergarten. Hedley, Kermuse. No, Kermuse and Coston was her district. Okay. And then I subbed for her, so I went to the Hedley school when they were open, but they closed that school.
But when did they close that?
Just last year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So all the children from the Hedley area have to go to either Kermuse or Coston.
Oh, jeez.
Native and non-native children. So we don't have a school not a provincial school in Hedley anymore. But I was teaching like the after-school program for, I guess, culture and language. And I was hired from about October, and I just got done March 13th. When Mrs. Dennis was a teacher, she taught the children how to bead.
Oh, okay.
So I helped her students, like when she was away, because she's a member of the education system in Finesque. And so when she was away, then I would have to assist the children in learning how to bead. And she had, her one pattern was the four directions. Yellow, green, black, and white, I guess. Well, the children, some of them enjoyed. Some children, they just don't understand how to pick up a needle, or even how to thread a needle. And that's both native and non-native children. They can't grasp. Yeah. because some you're continuously unknotting knots, you know, or they lose their thread or their needle, I should say. And beads, they have beads all over the floor. And
Everywhere except on the project.
right. They enjoyed it. Yeah, and they'd done bracelets, and they learned about the local history and landmarks. It's just that my hands, I got arthritis, and my hands get tired. Yesterday I cramped up, I had to go walk around, take a break. But I enjoyed it. I had 7 children, and so I did a lot of sewing, a lot of mending clothes and making shirts, making clothes. I have 2 daughters. Marlene is my younger one, and Linda, she works at Inauken. Well, you'll have to stop in sometime whenever you're in Penticton.
Yeah, we'll get it that way.
I don't know if you've probably heard of Jeanette Armstrong. She's the director there. I think we're beginning to see that we need to start with the little children, because to me, I think children should learn their own language before they begin to use the English language more fluently. That way they can say those sounds that, you know, are so unique to any native language, I think.
That's true.
Of course, we have different dialects in our area. It took us years to realize that we're all saying the right things, but just that we have
Say it a little different.
neighboring community influences a little different sayings or, you know, comprehension.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Thank you for staying with us. Weaving is intergenerational, making deep ties visible between generations alive today and their far distant ancestors. Weaving is interspecies, connecting us what makes us truly human, our membership and community of life as a planetary process. Let us return to conversation with Lummi Elder Fran James.
Why do I weave? Well, I think it's in my blood. Both of my grandmothers were weavers, basket weavers and sweater makers and swakwas, you know, the blankets. So it's been there all my life, and I enjoy doing it. And I always tell our students it's weaving the threads of our culture, combining them all together so we can keep it going. So that's what we try to keep the children, keep their hands busy. Don't be going off the wayside and drinking and drugging. So we try to keep them on the trail, keep their hands busy. I used to get up at 5 o'clock every morning, and I lived on an island where I didn't have no running water, no electricity. Grandmother'd feed us breakfast, hit us on the top of the head, mush, hot cakes, bacon, and eggs, and milk. And we had to milk the cows, feed the chickens, and slop the pigs before I got in a boat to go about a mile to get to the bus, walking on the beach. So one day she says, we're gonna go clam digging, go fishing, trolling. So we have to, she gets a little iron kettle like this and 3 little potatoes, because there's 3 of us. And we go across to another island, rowing, no motor in them days. And we dig clams there, and that was for our bait. And we go down a little further on the same island to a cove where we do jigging to catch cod, little cod. And we dip the pot in the salt water, and she put the cod and the potatoes in there and make fire, you know, and cook it. That was our meal. So we'd be trolling along the way. She'd have a, what you call a McMahon spoon, polish it all up, and rowing. We got a big king one time. Must have been about 16 pounds or so. Going home, and oh my goodness, here comes this huge, like a elephant seal or whatever there. It was huge, big as that window. Anyhow, it looked big to us. Grandma says, row for shore, row for shore. So we went to shore, and I thought, boy, if he'd have known we had fish in our boat, he'd have tipped us over. But that was I've been knitting ever since I can remember. But this is something really great. I see, my son used to do real fine weaving with kind of like thread. Mm-hmm. He went to the school in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and he learned the weaving and mastered that, and he used to weave 7 skirts a day. Oh, wow. So it was really something that we do and we enjoy doing. So after he got home, and I was trying to convert things over to our way of weaving, you know, the yarn. And I always made yarn to make socks and hats and sweaters, and I like one piece so I don't have to splice it. So when he comes in and he figures out the way to make the swackle, he'd go and measure it, cut it off. Oh, every time he'd cut it, oh, cutting my yarn up in pieces. Then he'd put it on the loom. But after I saw the finished product, then I knew, well, this is it. So we made a lot of those blankets, mainly for museums. And so we're just trying to keep the weaving going, no matter what it is, what kind of weaving. Some want to weave baskets, some want to knit or spin or whatever, you know. So we try to do what's best for them, you know, what they feel comfortable doing. One little girl wants to make a headband now, so I'm showing her how to do that. And whatever suits their fancy, we try to help them, just so they're busy, even if it's cooking or something. Some kids don't know how to clean a duck or anything. They don't know what survival is. Mm-hmm. That's what grandmother taught us, was survival. Learn to live off the land. We never went to town to buy anything. And I'm a real reservation Indian. I don't go to town, and walking on the cement is something else. See what it done to this poor lady. She got hurt walking on cement. We're so used to walking on Mother Earth, you know. Every step we take, you know, somebody looking after us. But this is totally unexpected. I feel bad. We pray for the lady. That was too much when she was trying to enjoy herself, you know. Mm-hmm. But I like to say thank you folks for inviting us, and something we want to try and keep going. At home we have what they call a NABA, Basket Weavers, Northwest National Indian Basket Weavers. So we have that once a year. It goes to different areas, different east the mountains, and comes back. Sometimes we go down to Quinault, and different tribes host us. But we're trying to get it to come to Lummi. Mm-hmm. But the date, I think it's around the 16th or 17th. So we have basket weavers from all over the Northwest. And I told them, why don't you invite people from the island, and like just across the border here, that's not too far. So now we're getting them coming. Mm-hmm. And it's, you know, we learn from one another. Oh, yeah. And I still want to go to Musqueam. But like us, we never like to go to big cities. But I want to go over there and see their weaving. Mm-hmm. But I sure appreciate all I learned here today, and I still have to go make my rounds because so I can bring something home to show my kids, you know. So everything I learn, I share.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Welcome back to Open Connection. From the day children are born, they enter a new and colorful world of discovery where everything is new and unfamiliar. Children learn by observing, listening, exploring, experimenting, and asking questions. Let us return to the conversation with Fran James.
Oh, I started, must be about 9 or so. But you know, like I say, the children, they have a natural instinctive ability. I said, it's there. It just comes natural to them. So they just need a little boost, you know, to help them. And, oh, I know, because it's there. You don't have to prove it, because they know they're hungry for something. So that's what we try to help them along the trail. They're just now finding themselves, and we just help them to get going. But I had to go to boarding schools, you know, so I lost my Indian. And I had my son, I told him, well, it's up to you after I got home. It's up to you. So he went to his elders. He used to have a little book that he made notes, you know, and he'd visit with the elders, and one of his granduncles learned the language, and he started to write the book on Lummi language. So he made the dictionary. So he is a language instructor also. So I'm really proud of him, and now he's in line for chief. So I'm proud of him. They wanted to inaugurate him right away, you know, because our chief passed away over a year now, and he said, no, you don't do that. You have to have time of mourning. But sometimes they said they need a chief right now, because they come to him all the time, you know. Our house is never empty. So I'm proud of him. Hope his health holds out. He was getting pretty heavy, you know, because not working. He's been retired quite a while. So I want to go around and see. I want to learn about the spindle whorl weaving, because we teach that only on a little bigger scale. She's got little teeny ones. And my grandmother used to have a big one like this, and like the Navajos do, they take their work right on in the fields when they're hitting their sheep, you know. And they'd work in the fields. Well, my grandmother used to live way back in the woods, no electricity, and she had her own sheep. This is my mother's mother. And she used to do the spindle whorl. So we carried on that, and we tried to teach the young children. You know, of course, all the girls have long hair, you know. They're weaving their hair right into the... That's what I said. That's what it's all about. You're weaving your heritage into what we do. But I had to tie their hair back, because we used to bring the children before they go to school, and they're about 8 years old. And I had a long counter, and I fix up hot chocolate and toast or something, because the majority of the kids are poor and they don't have anything to eat. And you have to have something in your stomach before you can even learn, because you go to school and you're just fussing because you're hungry. So they feel more at home and at ease and enjoy what they're doing, so it makes it easier for them. But there's so many poor people, you know, and my gosh.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Elders have a lifetime of experience. They comprise of a generation that survived the Great Depression, World War II, Vietnam, and the Great Recession. These sage people have a thing or two to teach us about enduring change and handling life adversities. In this final segment of Open Connection, Fran shares how we can help each other.
I give everything I have to help my people. Sometimes I don't have anything, but I give my last dollar. But I enjoy sharing with them, because it's tough out there. But we always thank the Creator. Everything we have is given to us. We don't have to worry about food or anything in my house because they bring it to us. Everything just comes at my door. I don't have to worry about anything. My freezers, one lady brought me about 50 pounds of hamburger. Another man brought me big ham, just put it in the door. He says, I know you feed the people. No name or nothing. He knew I had a house full, so that's the way I say, what goes around comes around. Mm-hmm. So we try to tell the young people, help your elders. So they told one of the girls here, so she's been right there helping me. Every time I want to do something, she'd help me to go to the restroom and everything. So that's the way we try to teach them, they usually bring them all to the table, the elders, and then the young ones wait on them, anything they want. So that's what we try to help one another. That's what it's all about. That's what makes the world go around, not get out of my way or anything. We watched one video of the canoe journey, and down the coast, all those people down there, they're all in one spirit. They're in the same tune, you might say, singing, drumming, and dancing. And they're not, get out of my way, you're in my space. They're all in one unit. And I'm so proud of them because you look at that video and everything in there is handmade. Their drums, their canoes, their paddles, their swakos, headbands, and everything. And that's the way it should be, but our folks, some of the children are going by the wayside, and it's hard because their parents are poor. It's not the children's fault. We're trying to break the cycle of get education, go to school. We have an academy now that takes in children that their parents are either gone or they're by themselves, and so they bring the children in and they have a place for them to stay and eat and get their meals, and then they go to school. So we're trying to help them that way. And we go up there and talk to them, to help them along, to keep busy. That's what it's all about.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Open Connection. The greatest distance in the existence of man is not from here to there, but the connection from his mind to his heart. If we can conquer that distance, we can soar like an eagle and realize our men stay within. I'm Robert Pictou.